Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing the top 5 best card for Brothers War. Brothers War has already come out for the pre-release. It's for Dominaria. I'm just going to hit the best cards of each color. We'll hit the artifacts and multi as well. This set looks sweet. I'm very pumped for it. More so than Dominaria overall. And we're just gonna go ahead and get into this. And keep in mind, these cards are not rated like from first best to fifth best. It's just the top 5 best cards in these colors, and we're just gonna go ahead and get on it. All right. The first one we have is Lay Down Arms. This is a sorcery speed spell. It says exile target creature with mana value equal than or equal. Sorry. All right. I'm too hyped. Too excited for this set. Exile target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control. Its controller gains 3 life. This is like a weird Swords of Plowshares, but I do think we already have like a control deck that's mono white with like Bankbuster, AO, the Angel, Celestis. I think this card is an excellent move spell for that deck. It fills that binding for the mono white control deck. And I think this actually helps that mono white control deck become even better. So, hype for this card. I think it's great. And it's a welcome addition to standard. Sweet card. Next one is Lorn of the Third Path. This one is pretty straightforward. Like it's reclamation stage, which is upside, right? And this standard, we have a lot of enchantments, a lot of artifacts. Like you see that again. You see the Bankbusters. You see Leyline Bindings. You see the wedding announcements. So it's a sweet card. So basically 3 mana 2/1 comes into play, destroys an artifact or enchantment, has vigilance, and then if you want, you can tap it so you and your opponent both draw a card. Obviously, if you like Narset out, you can stop the opponent from drawing cards, or if you have Shieldred, you can make it like more to your benefit. Maybe like a black white control shell. But regardless, that's just bonus. That's just gravy. The first ability is good enough. It's also a human, and it's 3 mana, which is relevant for things like Coco. And human as a tribe is obviously is good. Next up, we have Myrel, Shield of Argiv. This one seems maybe like why? Well, this is it's 4 mana 3/4. This is during your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Similar to Fairy Time Rival in that regard. Whenever Shield of Argive attacks, make X/1/1 colorless soldier tokens. Where X is the number of soldiers you control. So basically, it's like a kind of like Adeline before mana. But what's really huge, I think, about this card is like if your opponent is holding up removal and you play Myrel, they can't kill it. They cannot kill this soldier. You pass and they have to kill it during the main phase, which is huge. So it's basically like can't die the turn you play it, and your opponent is forced to kill it on their turn. So if they pass with a bunch of mana up, like for removal, you resolve this, they can't do anything about it. They have to untap and then kill it, which is I think slept on. I think this is a very powerful ability, which we've seen in Teferi. And this is a top end for if it is a soldier deck. This is a top end for that soldier deck. Next one we have is Siege Veteran. Siege Veteran costs 4 mana than Luminarch Aspirant, but it's very similar to Luminarch Aspirant. 3 mana 2/2, so it's just we gain a power toughness for being 3 mana. Beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1 counter to a creature you control. If it's a creature, this is whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, make a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So it's Luminarch Aspirant with bigger power and toughness, and then it's also protection for your creatures if opponent decides to like drag to the bottom or depopulate. Very good card. Great like a mono white aggro or soldier or even soldier or human. Also has great tribes. It's human and soldier, so very solid card. Very solid card there. And this one is like a welcoming vampire. I think it's all right. I think it's one of the better white cards overall as well. So 3-mana enchantment. Says whenever one or more creatures with mana value 3 or less in the battlefield you control, draw a card. This ability only triggers once turn. Once turn clause kind of hurts for sure, but it is something that will continue to draw cards in your aggro deck. So like great to bring from the sideboard, or great to play along wedding announcement. It's not like a bomb or anything, but it is a card that is pretty good and want to keep an eye on. It's not as good as other white cards, but it's all right overall. So that's the white cards. The blue cards. Moving on, we're gonna start with the big one. All right, this is my favorite card. Actually, probably my second favorite card. Blue card. I really like it. I like it in the like the 5-color domain deck. That deck ramps a little bit with stompers. And when you're able to cast this for its full mana, it will be devastating. So it costs 7 mana. It says as long as it's not your turn, this spell costs 3 more to cast. So if you main phase it, it costs 7. It says return all non-land permanents to their owner's hand in the turn. So kind of like a upheaval / River's Rebuke for both sides. It's the turn. However, if you're able to cast this for 10 on your opponent's turn, like let's say their upkeep, you will bounce everything back to their hand and end their turn completely, and then it'll be your turn again. This is like the ultimate time walk. Obviously, there's no Nexus of Fate. It's not a strong Nexus of Fate, but because Nexus loops. But casting this once is going to be massive because they had to pick up everything, and then you get to play your stuff before they rebuild, and they miss their draw step because if you do on the upkeep, they will not draw a card. Crazy card. Really, really wild. Excited to play with this card. Obviously, it's cost 10 mana, so you should win the game. So just gotta find a good ramp shell for it. One with the Multiverse. Also a fan of this card. 8 mana. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells on top of your library. So Future Sight. But it has one caveat, which is once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost. So this will help you churn through your top of your library. It'll help you cast a big spell from your hand. And if you play it, you're able to cast a spell immediately afterwards. So if your opponent does have a removal spell for it, you still get some value out of it, right? Or you can just hold that counter spell. So like if your opponent tries to kill it or move it, you can counter spell it. Great card to bring back with Invoke Justice. Great card to bring back with like Spirit Sister's Call. You sacking like a Fable the Mirror Breaker or Leyline Binding or whatever enchantment to bring this thing back. This card is very powerful, and you see like 1 or 2 turns with it out and inactive, I think it will be over. It's like Omniscience meets Future Sight. Super cool card. I love it. Love it. Sky Strike Officer. Now we're getting back down, going to the other side of the spectrum. This is a 3-mana 2/3 flyer. When it attacks, you make a 1/1 soldier token. Then you tap 3 untap soldier you control, draw a card. This is like a zombie guy. We tap 3 zombies, 3 untap zombies, you draw a card, lose 1 life. This card is alright. I think it's gives the soldier deck a way to draw cards and make bodies without having to just sit back the whole time. Like officer can always attack, and then it gives you fuel to tap your other soldiers and draw cards. So if you have a bunch laying around, those soldiers become card advantage after a while. So pretty cool for the blue-white soldier deck. Next one, Teferi, Temporal Pilgrim. 5 mana for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. And it says whenever you draw a card, put a loyalty counter on Teferi, Temporal Pilgrim. So 0 is draw a card. It's basically +1 because of a static, which is solid. It's fine. It's not the best draw ability, but you know it's not a big deal. And the -2 is make a 2/2 spirit that has vigilance. It says whenever you draw a card, put a counter on this creature. That part is massive. It reminds me of the Mordenkainen, except these spirits have vigilance, so they're great on offense, great on defense, and they'll grow quickly, especially if Teferi lives. And Teferi should be getting like 1 or 2 loyalty every turn, if not more, at least, right? You draw on a card, he gets loyalty. You plus him, he gets loyalty. If you have a spell that draws cards, he gets even more loyalty. And if you're able just to churn out these spirits that get bigger, it's going to close the game really quick. This is a great finisher for control decks, and even some mid-range decks. And the ultimate is target opponent choose a permanent they control, returns to their hand, and then they shuffle each non-permanent they own into their library. So the ultimate isn't as devastating as Teferi Hero Dominaria, but it's still good enough, obviously. But this card is just great all around. It's not broken by any means. It's not like it's not as good as Teferi Hero Dominaria, but it is still a powerful card that we will see a lot of play in standard control decks. So Teferi, the new control finisher. Speaking of Teferi, here's Urza. This is his teacher. Urza's command. I think this is probably the best command. This is a 4 mana. It's the only one that's instant, which is huge. So 4 mana. You choose 2. Creatures you don't control get -2, -0. It's kind of like a mini fog. You make a tap Power Stone token. You create a construct, which is great for blocking and killing a creature mid combat. Or you can scry and draw a card. This card isn't amazing, but the ability to like play this kind of like a Shark Typhoon, where you can make a construct, you can block something and then draw a card. That's pretty good. It does require you to play more artifacts to do that, but that in itself is powerful. If you're playing an artifact deck with or a deck with Power Stone tokens, this is great. This is great there for that blue deck. I like it. All right, we'll keep going. We'll keep going, folks. Move on to black. Ashnod, Flesh Mechanist. She's a 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch. And this may sound weird, but just a 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch is already pretty good. Like these cards I've seen, like Typhoid Rats has seen play in sideboards for like green decks. Obviously, it's not crazy, and this card does more. But the body and the stat and that ability is pretty solid. Then it says whenever Ashnod Flesh Mechanist attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, make a tapped Power Stone token. So you sacrifice your tokens or things that generate value. You sack them, or just you have like if you have tokens later on from like Onyx Envol, etc. And then her other ability is pay 5, exile creature card from your graveyard, make a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie creature token. And it's important to note that this can be used with the Power Stones. So you can use the Power Stones to use her ability, which is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet, I like that. All right, Diabolic Intent. This card is people are going pretty wild over. I think this card is phenomenal. Great in stack decks. So 2 mana sorcery. Sorry, not instant. Instant be even more broken. 2 mana sorcery. I just cast a spell. Sack a creature. Essentially for a card, and put the card into your hand. So 2 mana, Demonic Tutor. But you say I sack a creature, you get whatever you want. This card is a nightmare in Greasefang decks. But if they like a tournament Stitcher Supplier, you sack the supplier and then get Greasefang, whatever you need. Great combo piece in combo decks, obviously, for playing creatures. Just a very solid card. Obviously great in stack decks too. Very powerful card. I'm surprised they brought this one back. So I'm excited to play with it and see what people come up with this one. That's pretty sweet. All right, Gix. He's here on a card. Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor. 3 mana, 3/3. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, draw a card. That's already solid. Black doesn't need more help really, and they already have a pretty good curve in black creatures with like 1-drops. You have Evolve Sleeper, Underdogs on 2. You can play this on 3 if you want. And you have Shieldred. You start drawing cards pretty quickly. And then it says has more text. You can pay 7 mana. Discard X cards from your hand. Exile top X cards of opponent's library. You can play lands and cast spells from among them without paying their mana costs. That's just gravy. It's super cool. Alt text to get rid of your lands. You don't too many lands. So basically, his first ability fuels the second ability once you get to late game. But just drawing a couple cards off this card, your black mid range / aggro deck is sweet and powerful in of itself. Go for the Throat. A reprint. 2 mana. Instant. Destroy target non-artifact creature. You may think this set has a lot of artifacts and this card's not great, but I promise you it is solid. You'll see play. Go for Throat was originally put back in Scars Mirrodin or Mirrodin, one of them. Another artifact set. It's all plenty of play. It kills things like Shieldred, which is big. It kills everything. Anything's not an artifact. It doesn't lose you 2 life. So keep this on your radar. Definitely pick them up. Very solid card. Now we see the best shade I think we've ever seen in Magic history. This is a 2 mana 2/2 shade. It says if a creature opponent controls would die, you exile it instead. I think you pay any color mana to give this +1/+1 on a turn, so it can use the Power Stone shards to get bigger as well. If you have those laying around, it also shuts down death abilities. Super cool card, solid main deck and sideboard depending on your deck. Definitely sideboard and just an overall sweet shade. I remember playing non-Tugu shade. That wasn't quite good enough, so we'll see if this one is. All right, there's the black ones. All right, next up, red. Brotherhood's End. This one is solid in all formats. The further back you go, probably the better it gets because of Moxen and other artifacts and artifact lands. So this is 3 mana sorcery. You choose 1, deal 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. So that's like an End of the Gods, but also has planeswalkers, which is super sweet. For 3 mana, it's really good. And then on top of that, you have another mode that says destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Both these modes are fantastic. This is a great sideboard card, great main deck card too. If you like a control deck, amazing card, all-star in all formats. All right, Giant Cindermaw. Nothing too flashy. 3 mana 4/3 trample. Players can't gain life. Listen, that doesn't need to be flashy. Rampaging Frostodon was at one point banned in Standard. All right, this is a great sideboard card and great main deck card for people getting life for mono-red decks. I expect this one to see play in mono-red and other aggressive strategies. Mechanized Warfare, 3 mana. If a red or artifact color source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, easy guys. It deals that much damage +1 instead. So if you have Onyx and Anvil, that will start pinging for 2. Okay, so this reminds me of the Maggie. Easy. Listen, he's just trying to share your bed. Basically just doubles up on the anvils, and then also obviously burn. You'll double up on, and it says artifact source. So artifact creatures will also deal 1 more damage. So the 1/1s artifacts you make, or even soldiers, because the soldiers that are created by white cards or other soldiers, other cards, they make artifacts. So I think these cards will be great in those types of decks. Monetary Swift Spear. It's back. Human Monk. 1/2 for 1 haste and prowess. This is sweet. We'll now see an Explorer / Pioneer. Things are already Pioneer. But now we're get an Explorer for sure. Just a solid aggressive creature that is great. Is historically good in aggressive decks and burn decks. So, welcome edition if you're a red mage, aggro red mage. That's your jam. There it is. Obliterating Bolt. Bolt deals 4 damage to our creature or planeswalker. If our creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile instead. This is Lava Coil with upside, and that hits planeswalkers too. Solid card. 4 is a lot, but it's important to know that 4 does not hit Shieldred, so that is like very relevant as well. It's not roast; it is just 4 damage. But that being said, I still think this card is solid. Just watch out for Shieldred because she's everywhere. All right, green. Moving on to the little teething wormlet. Little worm. 1 mana, 1/1. Wormlet has Death Touch as long as you control 3 more artifacts. All right, and then it says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. This is the first time it happened this turn. Put a counter on the little wormlet. It's important to note this is not when you cast an artifact. It's just whenever one enters battlefield. Again, this means like Power Stone shards. This means like soldier tokens. The artifact comes into play. You're able to grow it. It's a 1-mana creature that can grow, kind of like Blood Collector, but different. Obviously different because it's it grows differently. But this is just has great value. If you ever make tokens, you know it also triggers off like Fable the Mirror Breaker, the Goblin making a treasure, allows you to grow it as well. Just a solid card. I like this card. Bushwhack. Nothing fancy. This card's really good though. It's 1 mana. You choose 1. You search life for a basic land. Helps you play your land drops. Helps you get going. You need that. And then otherwise, you can choose to fight a creature. Target you control fights a creature you don't control. So it's a removal spell or ensures you hit your next land drop. It's boring, but it's very powerful. Like it's just a powerful card. Like it's not very powerful, but it's just a very good card for 1 mana, allowing you to do both. This card is solid. It's great. All right, Gwynna, Eyes of Gaia. 3 mana, 2/3. Then you tap it to add 2 mana of any combination of colors. We can only cast creatures or use abilities of creatures with those colors. This is when you cast a creature spell with 5 or greater power. Put a counter on Gwynna, Eyes of Gaia, and untap it. So if you're able to like churn out these giant green monsters or even these dragons or whatever it is, you can just keep going. I think this card is solid. It's great. If your opponent plays this, you better kill it because if they untap with it early, you're gonna start casting some big stuff. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for Eyes of Gaia. All right, the next one I really like. It's called Awaken the Woods. 2 mana, and X. Create X 1/1 green forest dryad land creature tokens. These tokens can tap for mana. They are forests, so just make it dryad arbors. And this is a lot of ramp. These are essentially lands that are land werewolves. You know, like on turn 4 for 4 mana, you get 2 lands or two creatures. Then from there, it's more mana. It's more mana. It's like it's the worst curve is 3. Paying 3 mana for a 1/1 isn't great. 2 is fine, and above that is just awesome. And these creatures also can like attack later in the game, but they also ramp. Like it ramps you. It's a tremendous ramp card, massive ramp card. Sure, your opponent's gonna wipe the board with it, or like kill them all with a board wipe. But you gotta remember, there's no more Meat Hook Massacre. They banned Meat Hook Massacre, which makes this card even more playable. So, ban this one. Keep an eye out. All right, our next one. It's one of the meld cards, Titania, Voice of Gaia. I think this is the best meld card of the 3. It doesn't take much to trigger her. So she's a 3 mana, 3/4 reach. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you gain 2 life. This is great with the new Campaign lands comes to play. You sack them immediately, gain life. So you get 3 life with those lands, and you get a basic put into play. This card seems sweet with like in the Lord of Windgrace decks or Soul of Windgrace decks. This is a beginning upkeep if there are 4 or more land cards in your graveyard and you both own and control Titania and a land called Argoth. Exile them and form Titania Gaia Incarnate. So 3 mana, 3/4 with reach. The gains life when things die. When lands graveyard is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. But it's so easy to flip because its other half is just a land. It's just land in play, right? Argoth is a land that comes to play tapped unless you control a legendary green creature. Adds green mana, and then has the ability to tap 4 mana to make a 2/2 bear. This is not easy. This is not hard to play in your deck. It's a fine card, and then you have both of them out, and you have some lands in your graveyard. You're able to make Titania Gaia Incarnate, which is star, vigilance, reach, trample, and haste. Okay, this is great on defense, offense. Has reach as well, and its power equal the lands you control. This is gonna be at least like a 7/7 because you need 4 to flip it. It's probably bigger than that, honestly. It's gonna be massive. This is when Titania enters the battlefield. Return all land cards from graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So even if this transforms and they kill it right away, you still get to ramp with all those lands you put in the graveyard. So that's great. And if she's not enough, she sticks around. You have an ability that costs 4 mana. Put 4 counters on a land you control. It becomes a 0 elemental token. It's the land has haste. So you can just start making these lands of creatures and just kill them with lands. Great meld card. I love meld. I think it's a cool mechanic. I think this is the best one of the 3. I think this is very playable. You can. It's not hard. It's not too hard to meld that one. All right, move on to multicolored. All right, this is one of the best soldiers we've seen. The soldier deck, 2 mana, 3/2 flyer. That's already just great. Like 3 mana for a 3/2 flyer. I remember paying 2 mana for a 3/3. And that's all you got. Watchable for, right? Now we're flying. But wait, there's more. Whenever you attack with 5 or more soldier creatures you control, you get +1/+1 and flying until end of turn. That is a death sentence for your opponent. If you have enough soldiers, it's a glorious anthem and gives everything flying. Your opponent's gonna die. Fantastic soldier card. Very, very good. Third Path Iconoclast. 2 mana, 2/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, make a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Artifacts matter this set. Soldiers matter this set. This is basically like Pyromancer, Young Pyromancer. This card gets better the further back you go. It's important to keep in mind, Young Pyromancer is also only instant and sorceries. This is non-creatures, so it triggers off like Moxen and Vintage. It's also blue. Blue makes it harder to cast than just red. However, it being blue means you can pitch it Force of Will, which is also very relevant in older formats. And honestly, Young Pyromancer usually saw play in blue decks anyways, because blue has the most cantrips. So this card is an all-star. Again, maybe not so much standard. The further back you go, it gets better and better and better. Solid card. Saheeli Filigree Master. 4 mana for 3 loyalty. Her +1 is scry 1. You may tap untap artifact you control. If you do, draw a card. So the +1 isn't very reliable. It depends how many artifacts you have laying around, or how many artifacts your deck generates. So it's kind of like it's a bit risky, but it pays off in that it ultimates next turn. So we'll give it the okay. The -2 makes 2 colorless stop artifacts with haste. Beginning haste EOT. So she comes in play. You make 2 Thopters, and later next turn those Thopters can be tapped for her ability to draw cards, or you just plus her, and then the next turn she ultimates. And the ultimate's pretty powerful. It gives you an emblem. This is artifact creature you control. You +1, so it's anything for artifacts. And all your artifacts cost artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. That's pretty huge. So if you plus her and then ultimate her, it makes future iterations of her make Thopters into 2/2s. And then just a constant thing that makes her spells cost 1 less for artifacts is sweet and powerful. I like her. I think she'll see play. She's a very solid planeswalker. All right, Mishra. So this is more than 5 cards, but it's because of Meld. Mishra, claimed by Gix. So 4 mana for 3/5. It says whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of target creatures you control. If Mishra, claimed by Gix, and a creature named Phyrexian Dragon Engine are attacking, you both own and control them, exile it, and make Phyrexia lost to Phyrexia. Mishra lost to Phyrexia. And it's also tapped and attacking. Okay, a lot of text. So, as long as Fable doesn't get banned, I think this card's also fine. I think this is the worst one, or the hardest one of the three to meld. But even so, it's not too difficult. So 4 mana 3/5 is great because 5 toughness is hard to deal with outside of a straight up removal spell, right? You can't really like lava coil this or obliterating blast it like I talked earlier. Usually have to use like a premium removal spell to kill this. So by itself, it's not that great, but unless you're aggressive, it's all right. However, the engine I do like. So the engine is 3 mana, is a double strike and it's 2/2, which is fine. Then it says whenever this thing it has unearth. It says whenever this thing enters the battlefield from the graveyard, you discard your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. So the curve here is going to be Fable the Mirror Breaker on turn 3. On turn 4, we will discard the engine and play Mishra. So that's turn 4. Then turn 5, we will unearth the engine and attack with Mishra and the engine to make Mishra lost to Phyrexia. Holy moly! So this thing enters the battlefield, or when it attacks, you choose 3. Target opponent discards 2 cards, so mind draw it. Do pretty much any target, so that's a bolt, which is obviously powerful. Destroy artifact or planeswalker. Creatures you control gain menace and trample on the turn, which is he's a 9/9, so like holy moly. Creatures you don't control -1 on a turn, or you can create 2 tap Power Stone tokens. So very powerful. But this one is, I think, the hardest one to transform or to meld. But you're able to do it. It's sweet. The engine is sweet. The engine is sweet. And the fact that they both work with Fable so well, I think is how you're going to want to use it. Also, Blood Tithe Harvester helps as well alongside those cards. And here's the other meld card. Urza, Lord Protector. 3 mana. For a 2/4. Artifacts, instant, and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That's great, solid. He also fuels his the weak Stone and Weak Stone, and makes you counter spells and whatever 1 mana cheaper. Pretty good static ability. It's also on a 2/4, so pretty solid body. Does not get cut down, thankfully. You can pay 7 mana. It says you both own and control Urza. An artifact named the Might Stone and Weak Stone, exile them and transforms them into Urza Planeswalker. Activate only as a sorcery. So this gives the opponent the chance to kill Urza with a removal spell in response. But this is 3 mana isn't that much for a control deck, right? It's fine. It's not crazy. It's okay. The Might and Weak Stone is also similar. So it costs 5 mana. However, it costs 4 with Urza out. So at turn 3, you should play Urza. Then you play this card. It says when it comes into play, choose 1. You draw 2 cards, or it gives a creature -5/-5 on turn. So it kills a creature. This is pretty good just by itself. Like 5 is a lot. But even if you pay 4 mana for it, it's like one more mana than Divination. You can draw 2 cards, and you gotta remember this thing like refunds you some of the mana you spent. Okay, it taps for 2 mana no matter what. So even if it just plays by itself, you will still have 2 mana. Just be able to tap it. So basically, you only lose 3 mana, and you draw 2 cards, and or make up or dismember a creature. This card is pretty good. It's fine. It's not great. You probably wouldn't play this without Urza, but if you have all the pieces, you get the strongest Planeswalker ever printed. All right, there's a Planeswalker. Holy moly, that is. Let's blow this up a little bit. There we go. Is that big enough? There we go. Big boy. 7 mana. 7 loyalty. You may activate the ability of Urza Planeswalker twice each turn rather than only once. So twice each turn. You can +2 to make artifacts, instant, sorcery spells cost 2 less, and you gain 2 life. So if you want, you can make it cost 4 less, you gain 4 life. Draw 2 cards, discard a card, so you can draw 4, discard 2 if you want. You make soldiers, you make 2 soldiers, so up to 4. As -3, exiles a permanent, so you can exile 2 null permanents right away. Bam, bam. What up, Card Liberated? And then his ultimate, which you can do following turn. Artifacts and planeswalkers you control gain indestructible. So on a turn, destroy all non-land permanents. So basically, it's like this: the Silex blows everything up, keeps himself alive. Selfish Urza. Just man, I'm excited to see this card, how it plays out in Arena, like what the animation makes. This card is these cards are massive too. They're like big cards when we stack them on top of each other. Super cool card. I think it's playable. I think it's the second easiest one to do. Titanium being the first one. Luckily it's in blue. Luckily it's in control colors. So you have more of a more protection, and your deck's slower. Your deck's slower anyways, so you have time to assemble this monstrosity. All right, last up, we're gonna go over the artifacts. Top 5 artifacts. Blade Coil Serpent, 6 mana and X for a 5/4. You pay 6 mana for it. It's 5/4, but you can dump more mana into it. When Blade Coil Serpent is battlefield, for each blue, spend to cast it, draw a card. For each black, each one discards a card, and for each red, it gets +1/+0 and gains trample and haste end of turn. So this card isn't like, it's not crazy. I don't want to like. This card is fine. It's gonna be difficult to have all those symbols in your deck. Like casting this for blue, black, red is more likely than triple blue. Triple blue is pretty solid because you draw 3 cards for 5/4. It's also a 5/4. It's good. But this thing has no way to gain life or stabilize you in that way. But I do like that it's X. So if you're playing a ramp deck or a deck that goes late, you can dump more mana into it. It can be like a mini Krasis or Mind Draw or whatever. I think it's solid. I don't think it. I think it's slightly overhyped, but it is a good card. It's just not as good as you think it is, but it's still top 5. All right. Cityscape Leveler. 8 mana for 8/8. Trample. When you cast a spell or whenever it attacks, destroy up to 1 target non-permanent. The controller makes a tap Power Stone token and has Unearth. This is a great card to blow up with. Okay. Now you get to replace your Mirror Golem in the sideboard for this thing. It's an 8/8. This not only kills your opponent's permanents, it just kills your opponent too, right? And to kill this after you cast it, like this is a cast ability. It's not when it comes to play ability. So when you cast it, it's going to blow something up. If you counter it, and then you can next turn unearth it, kill something else important, and you can attack for 8. Super solid card. Again, this should replace Mirror Golem in the sideboards. Beautiful. Kind of like a mini Eldrazi. Clay Champion, Slimmer the Serpent. This is X and 4, and this thing gets it's 2/2. Comes to play with 3 counters on it. For each green spent to cast it. Okay, so if you spend 4 green on it, it'll be an 8/8, kind of like a mini Giganosaur. Not too impressive. There's no trample, there's no evasion, so it's whatever. Then this is when Clay Champion or when Clay Champion enters the battlefield, choose up to 2 other target creatures you control. Each white spend to cast this. Put a counter on each of them. So you need 2 of the creatures to use the white ability. Otherwise, it's not that great. So this card is like very situational. Obviously, green, you make a giant creature. White, you get to spread your stuff around, but you need to have the white mana and you need to have the creatures out to grow them. It's like a weird virtuous Gearhulk, but worse. Gearhulk at least had trample, and he himself could be an 8/8. But he was 8/8 trampler, which is much bigger than just a 8/8. That being said, though, I think this card will still see play. It is a fine card. The utility is nice, but again, like the Serpent, I think this is overhyped, but still one of the better artifacts from the set. All right, this is the best artifact in the set. All right, this is one. This is it. This is the best artifact in the set, in my opinion. Portal to Phyrexia, 9 mana. A lot of mana. Luckily we have Power Stone Shards and stuff, right? It says when this thing enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. Mini Plague Wind, kill your stuff. All right, if you blink this, you can do it again. And this is but wait, there's more. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield under your control. It's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. Wow. So y'all remember how Meathook kills stuff, it sticks around, and does more stuff? Obviously, Meathook only costs 2 mana. This costs 9. Big difference. But this ability is very, very powerful. Not only does this come into play, it kills a bunch of creatures, your opponent's creatures, then you start reanimating. Okay? This is a card you want to cheat out, if possible. Invoke Justice comes to mind for standard. Obviously, in older formats, there's better ways to cheat this one out. But very solid card. Very powerful artifact that just gains you a bunch of value. Especially, again, maybe like Goblin Welder. Goblin Welder in, like, what, Legacy? Super sweet card. Love it. Love it, and gets my vote for best artifact in the set. Super powerful. Next up, I think this is also our last one. This is Razor Lash Transmogrant. 2 mana, 3/1. Can't block. Zombie artifact. Artifact zombie, which I call BS on, but you know, fine. How can you have artifact zombie? And then 6 mana. Return this thing from your graveyard to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So it becomes a 4/2. This ability costs 4 to cast if an opponent controls 4 or more non-basic lands. All right, listen. We're in a set with triomes. Okay, we're in a set with pain lands. We're in a set with slow lands. The opponent's gonna have 4. As long as the opponent's not playing with mono blue and mono red, they're most likely gonna have more non-basics. Making this a great aggressive creature, a great card to pitch to Fable the Mirror Breaker and bring back later, or to pitch to Leon the Veil, or to pitch to Tithe Harvester. Very solid aggressive creature that is hard to deal with over time. So this is like you know, our Scrappy Scrounger from standard from ages ago. So solid card. This one should see play. Sweet. Then that's it. That is the top 5 and more multicolored of each color. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna be doing the early access event tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Make sure to follow that. There'll be a twitch.tv/Aintrazi. We'll be doing a bunch of brews, and streaming a long time. So come say hi. Before just come say hi. Love to see y'all. Also, if you shop at CoolStuffInc.com, make sure to use code OLLIE5. See 5% off your order. You also get a sweet Aintrazi Wolf token. All right. Thanks everyone so much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. Something you liked, didn't like, what you're looking forward to. Yeah. Just like hit that like and subscribe button. Help out cool stuff. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful evening, morning, night, wherever you are. I'll catch you next time. Peace.